Welcome back to the Infinite Life podcast. I'm your host, Katish Haberfield, and this week we have quite the episode for you. To start with, we'll start on a light note, and we will listen to an unsolicited recording that I received on the podcast recorder about past lives and the impact that they can have positively on your life and your career. Scott's message has a positive and uplifting undertone to it, and he will be one of our guests coming shortly. So be sure to watch out for Scott's podcast episode coming soon. The majority of this podcast episode is, however, very emotionally dense. So I'm giving you this warning right now. If you're not up for it, you might want to come back and listen to this episode later. Why? This episode is another episode where we delve into my past lives. So we've already covered one of them in the very first episode of the podcast, where we looked at a spontaneous past life realization that I had involving being a monk in Tibet, and how that unfolded in my life. Well, in this episode, we're going to be looking at another spiritual lifetime. However, this time, this is a spiritually dense lifetime. And so in lifetimes, we have spiritually dense, or traditionally we might call those negative lifetimes, and positive lifetimes, and even lifetimes where we just have it easy and nothing much happens. But this one is a particularly dense lifetime, so just warning about that. The purpose of sharing this with you is for you to understand the powerful reasons behind why you would want to investigate your past lives, and why it's important as part of doing the work and understanding the journey that your soul has taken across time. And I do feel that if you're going to learn from me through listening to these podcast episodes, that I'm no better or worse than anybody else. I've had many incarnations, both good and interesting, and I'm here to share them with you so that you can gain an insight into somebody else's lifetimes. You may learn from me or get your own aha insight. So we'll be having a look at a particular spiritual lifetime which had a negative impact because it created limiting beliefs due to my experiences and vows that I've carried over my lifetime since then. In fact, they've been carried along with me for over, or because we can't be precise, around 700 years. So I want to let you know, however, that it ends on a happy note, and I end the episode reframing the experiences that I had in that lifetime so that you can see the lessons that I'm able to take into it right now in 2022 and how that will affect my life from this point forward. So I just want to remind you before we go any further that we're about to go into a spiritually intense session. What you're about to hear is actually a little bit more of an introduction from me about the background or the backstory to why I did this session. And then we're going to dive deep straight into an Akashic Records session. And you will hear me experience intense emotions. And you may feel distressed. However, with any distress and intense emotion, there is the positive impact that we gain on the other side as we gain healing and release from negative emotions in other lifetimes. So if you're ready, you might want to pause this recording, grab a glass of water or a cup of tea, and get settled comfortably. And come and join me on another journey to one of my past lifetimes.
Hello, Katish. My name is Scott Ohlgren. I'm from Florida. We've never met, but I wanted to just give you a thumbs up on the work that you're doing with your podcast. I believe that connecting with or remembering life beyond this life and life before this life is one of the true hidden keys to fulfilling what we basically are as humankind. And I say that because I had a few extremely powerful glimpses into my own life beyond and before my life when I was in my 20s, and it altered the course of my life, and it put me into studying plant medicine and diet, and I ended up writing a few books on that. I see that you're from Queensland. I lived north of you in a tiny little town called Coolum for about 6 months back in the early 80s when I was traveling the world for a few years. I absolutely fell in love with Queensland. No need to write back or call me back. Just keep doing what you're doing and know that it is impacting people far beyond what you may realize. All the best.
Okay, so it is time for the background to today's episode before we get into the Akashic Records session. So this past life revelation is 2 years in the making, I think it is. And the origination of why I wanted to actually find out about this past life is frustration. Now, if you know anything about frustration, you know that frustration means that you are out of alignment with your higher self. You are not experiencing life that your soul wishes to experience it in that way. So I've been frustrated for a very long time, and even more than just frustrated was when people would tell me to be patient and things would work themselves out. Somebody who's frustrated wants it to happen right now, and it makes it worse when you ask them to be impatient. So my frustration, to give you the 20-second version of it, was I was and am a highly educated person. I got my master's degree at 21. I got the Dean's Academic Award for Academic Excellence, getting a 6.58 out of a 7 for my academic score. I got hired into the largest management consultancy in the world in the graduate recruitment program. And from that moment on, I thought my life was set. I was planning to do a short stint in Australia, then go overseas to the UK, then head over to the USA, and I imagined that I would be some kind of a bigwig corporate CEO. Life hasn't worked out that way. Life had other plans. And mostly, my plans have involved a lot of resiliency, a lot of changes of career, a lot of heartbreak, and a lot of scratching of my head, wondering, what have I done wrong? If you were to view my lifetime, and many of you who listen to the podcast have known me for a long time, you would say, well, she's ticked all the check boxes. She's done all the studies, and every time she identifies a limiting belief or a skill that she needs, she upgrades and she learns more. She's not one to sit back and watch TV just for the sake of it. So I've studied the mind for as long as I can remember. I have read everything about limiting beliefs. I understand emotions. I've watched every Tony Robbins video there ever was. I've done EFT. I've done hypnosis. I have done so many healing modalities. I have done mindset courses in just about everything you could think of, but still things haven't worked out the way I thought they would. So in 2021, I think it was, I finally got so frustrated. Yes, it was at the very beginning of 2021. I got so frustrated that I actually withdrew myself out of everything and decided that the cause of anything that I hadn't achieved or accomplished in my lifetime was nothing to do with the present life. I'd covered every field that there could be about examining my present lifetime. I had done so much writing and studying with limiting beliefs. I mean, you can go all the way back to my first years in university, and straight after it, when I used to do 70 times sevens, writing with left hands, with Michael Dumenko Rowland, if any of you remember him from way back when. Like, I've done the work for a long time. So I decided, bugger this, it's not present life. Let's start investigating the past life. I was lucky enough to win a quantum healing session with Sandra Biskind, and I'm hoping to get in contact with her so that we can do a special podcast episode about the quantum healing session and what we revealed, because it's directly relevant to this life that we're going to reveal today, because it's the same life. So, however, the issues and things that we identified with Sandra were from the childhood of this particular life that we're going into today, whereas what I just revealed this week is from the adult section of that lifetime. So you can imagine it's quite a big, meaty, chunky lifetime in terms of limiting beliefs and core wounds. So Sandra identified that it was my core wound of abandonment that had been impacting my lifetime and was impacting, amongst many other things, money blocks and money limiting beliefs. However, as amazing as Sandra Biskind is, and I would highly recommend you work with her, I really wanted to do the next step, which was prove it to myself. Prove to myself that I actually had the lifetime that she saw and understand it further. And this is where I started to come into blocks where I could not access the Akashic Records by myself. And when I tried to do past life regression myself, I could not see anything. Anyway, to cut a long story short, there'll probably be a couple of episodes on this, but the dense lifetimes that I have lived that were required by my soul to achieve certain things actually created spirit attachments and other situations which were impacting upon my present lifetime here in 2020, 2021, 2022, and before. So once we cleared those, it was divine timing to have met the ghost helper, Tina Irwin. And if you haven't listened to Tina's episode, please go back and listen to that after this. Then I decided, okay, I want to do and try the Akashic Records again. So I got in contact with the wonderful Cindy Porter, and we set an intention for the session. Now, the session's intention was set after we had a discussion. I'd been in contact with her for many, many months, and in the end, it boiled down to a very frank discussion we had, which is good. I like frankness. And she said to me, look, there is no reason you should be blocked from entering the Akashic Records, except by the fact that you are blocking yourself. Now, here we go. This is where I bird up again, as you can imagine, because if you tell me that I'm doing something wrong, that I've caused it, I'm going to put up my fisticuffs. Yeah, I'm going to get angry because I know that I haven't. But by the time she walked me through it and explained to me that it possibly wasn't me of this lifetime that was creating these blocks. It's me who has set in place a form of self-punishment from other lifetimes. So that made sense to me. That really resonated with me. And what we set the intention for the session was several things. The most important was to find the first lifetime, the earliest memory, whereby I put in place a form of self-punishment that would then turn into self-sabotage in other lifetimes and this present lifetime. So looking for the root cause effect. To also identify vows and limiting beliefs that I made as a result of this self-punishment. And for me personally, I wanted to verify if it was relevant some of the incarnations that had been identified by Sandra and Daniel Biskind, because they'd identified 4. And I hadn't seen them myself. I'd begun to see them in the past couple of weeks, but I really wanted to, in my own mind, verify them. So that's the backstory. And I'm just going to tell you very quickly what we did find before I let you listen yourself. So we did find abandonment. We did find really self-punishment, the physical kind, lack of trust, and a disconnection from source. So pretty intense. But you'll hear through the Akashic Records session that we were able to understand the purpose of this really dense lifetime to gain healing in the Akashic Records, and importantly to verify also for myself, if you listen to the episode with Courtney Dillon, who my primary spirit guide is for the moment, for this lifetime, right now in 2022, and who my archangel is, because I had ideas, but I hadn't had anyone else verify it with me. So sometimes you feel like you just need somebody there so you don't feel like you're making it up. So we did that as well. Before we get into the recording session, I just want to let you know that there will be a little bit of noise interference from birds in the background. I've done my best to minimize this, but once you get through the recording, it'll go into the background anyway. I have edited the first part so that we are pretty close to just entering into being at the footsteps of the doors of the Akashic Records. Now, the important thing for you to note is prior to this session, every time I tried to attempt to get into the Akashic Records, the doors wouldn't open. Okay. The most memorable time was when I was trying to see if I should train for the Akashic Records with a spiritual mentor, Joanna Hunter, and the doors not only slammed shut, they were the doors like that of a castle, but the doors molded over and went all mossy, as if something out of a forest. And then whizzing over my shoulder came arrows. They went into the door, and I knew, step away, girlfriend, you're not allowed in. Turns out it was me, a former incarnation of myself, doing that. But luckily for all of us, and you know that it's a happy ending because we're able to get into the Akashic Records, otherwise you wouldn't be hearing the rest of this podcast episode, I was able to resolve that through a lot of hard work on my behalf with understanding the various roles we play over all incarnations, doing a lot of deep searching, understanding light and dark, understanding spirits, understanding really the truth of what you attract in life, and then practicing, oh my God, practicing so much past life regression. Hours and hours and hours of practicing by myself so that I was ready to work with a professional to go into the Akashic Records. I was also willing for the session to reveal things that were different to what the intention of the session was, if that was in the highest interest of my soul. So I set the intention with Cindy and then detached so that my soul and my highest self and my spirit guides would direct us to the lives that were of the most relevance and most important to me in the here and the now. And then, as you'll hear, I had to give myself permission to actually open the records. So I'll be quiet now and I'll let you experience with me the entire Akashic Records sessions just for one of the lives. We had 2 revealed, I'll be honest with you, but I'm not going to share the second one right now. It's enough to share the first dense lifetime for today. So here we go. Okay.
So we'll close our eyes and let's get going. So let's take a nice deep breath in and hold it and breathe out. And again. And out. So breathing in, beautiful white golden light. Breathing in any stagnant, unused energy. As you're breathing in, Beautiful white golden light is filling your body. Letting go all the stresses and strains of your day. Letting go of any of the attached spirits surrounding you. You can imagine roots growing out of the bottom of your feet, starting to grow down, deep, deep down into Mother Earth, spreading out far and wide, down deep in Mother Earth. Roots are growing down, down, till they get to the center of Mother Earth, wrapping around the beautiful crystal center. As they wrap around the center, you start to feel amazing, beautiful, loving energy coming up through the roots, coming up through the soles of your feet, up your legs, and starting to fill your whole body with beautiful, unconditional love, spreading right up through your body, all the way up through the top of your head. As it gets to the top of your head, this beautiful golden light energy starts to spread out and around you, and it's creating a beautiful golden bubble of golden white light energy all around you. You and you alone are safe in this bubble. There is only you. There are no attached spirits, no other entities, just you. You are safe and protected. As you breathe in golden white light, the bubble expands, getting ever larger and larger around you, and ever lighter and brighter around you. As we breathe in more golden white energy, you start to lift off from Mother Earth and slowly going higher and higher up towards the farther sky, breathing in the beautiful golden white light in your beautiful safe bubble, feeling lighter and brighter, lighter and brighter, ever lighter and brighter. Going higher and higher, higher and higher, lighter and brighter, as we go up through farther sky, breathing in the golden white light. We alight gently on the big stone steps of the Akashic Records halls. In front of you are two giant doors. Can you see them?
Yes, sorry. Want to talk?
It's all good. When you're ready, I want you to notice the door handles and put your hands on the doors and gently push them open. And let me know when you've done that.
Yep, they're done. They're opened as soon as you said that they were there. They're flung open.
Just inside the doors, you should be able to see your spirit guide waiting there. Can you see them?
But just see wings.
Beautiful. I have asked all the angels to come in and help us today and protect you.
Oh, no, I see Joshua's face now.
Excellent. Okay. They're going to lead us to your Akashic Records room. So I'd like you to follow them along the corridors until you get to your room, and let me know when you arrive there. I will gently guide you along the way.
Okay, I think I'm here.
Okay. Have you stepped into the room?
I just see the doorway. Feels like it's been a long walk.
Yeah, sometimes it is. Okay, put your hand on the door, open it, and step in. In front of you, there should be a desk and a chair of some sort. Can you see that?
I see like shelves to the left,
Yep.
and then it's not a very attractive room, like a desk up against a concrete wall.
Yep. Okay. Let's go sit down at the desk. Let me know when you're sitting at the desk.
Yes.
Okay. So now we are going to ask your spirit guide to please bring us a record that shows where you first felt the need to punish yourself for something that you have done. The spirit guide is going to go off and grab that record book for us and bring it back to the desk. Please let me know when the book has arrived in front of you. You may need to think about which is the most appropriate book for you. I'm sensing they're having some discussion about which record to show you.
Yeah, I feel like the energy of a book wanting to fly off the shelf, but it's not appearing in front of me yet. It's like it keeps being sent back.
Sometimes we're not actually ready to learn what we're asking. So I'm going to get you to please give yourself permission to read the record that's required to help you with this self-punishment issue. So if you just say to yourself, I give myself permission.
Give myself permission
to read this record
To read this record.
And reveal where my self-punishment comes from.
Reveal where my self-punishment comes from. I see like a gold-bound triple-decker book.
Yep.
So it's like,
a very big record.
yeah, with, you know, like in like the Tudor times, they had that elaborate writing and pictorial stuff, and there's like a gold-bound book with gold on the edges.
Yep.
That's the kind of thing that I see.
That is the same book that I am seeing. So that's
Okay.
fabulous. Okay.
Okay.
What I want you to do is put your hand on the book and tell me what sensation you get, please.
Nervous.
Okay. Please reassure yourself that you are protected, you are surrounded by angels, there is nothing to fear here. You are safe, you are in control, and you are protected. Okay. Do you still feel nervous?
I'm just feeling crying. I don't know why.
That's okay. Let it out. Emotions need to flow through us. Let it out. You are safe, you are held, and you are protected. Take a moment.
Okay, I see like a elaborate table of contents or something like that.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask your spirit guide to please open the book to the page that is going to best serve you in understanding this record. So your guide will open the book to a certain page. Let me know when you can see the page opened.
It's open, but before it opened, I got the. I don't see any writing on it, but what I saw was a figure come out of the pages.
Okay. All right.
Does that make sense?
Yes,
Like
yes.
a character.
Yep. I never see writing on my pages,
Okay.
so that's perfectly normal.
Okay.
What we're going to do, if you're feeling comfortable enough, is I want you to put your hand on the open pages, and if you still feel okay and safe, do you feel okay with your hand on the open pages?
Yeah. I just sense myself as a tall, thin man in monk's robes.
Excellent. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to actually step right through into that lifetime.
Okay.
So we're going to go through into that lifetime, remembering that you are in control, you are completely safe, and you are protected. So as we step through, what I want you to do is firstly look down at your feet and tell me what you see.
They're like these brown moccasin-y slippery things.
Okay. What about are you standing on a field, a road? Just start to look
No,
at the from your feet and describe what you're seeing.
It's like inside
Okay.
in a chamber, and it's not like tiles, but it's like a material that was used from a long time ago to create a surface for an indoor area for a floor. So it's stone and cold, but it's been shaped to be the equivalent of a modern floor, but in old times. Does that make sense? So it's not dirt.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so start to look up and look around and describe what else you can see from where you are.
It's like, do you know, if you go into Westminster Cathedral in, oh, it's like an abbey.
Yep,
It's like when you go downstairs in Westminster Abbey.
yep. Breathing in, breathing out.
You know how they have all the tombs and
Yep,
the sacred relics and the out-of-bound areas for the public.
yep. More down in the home type area.
Yeah. It's like being down in there.
Okay. Can you get any sense of why you're there? If you just feel into that gently.
The words that came to my mind that don't match the pictures, but the feeling are time out, bad, punished, forbidden knowledge.
Okay.
Like I read a book I wasn't supposed to.
Yep.
Questioning authority. So it's like I'm in a room bereft of anything else.
Yep. So is it, do you feel like you've been put in the equivalent of a cell, like a jail cell?
No, it doesn't feel like I'm
You're not.
like lock up. I'm not punished like lock in the keys prison. It's like,
Yep.
go think about yourself, son.
Okay.
You know, like when you get scolded by your father. You've disappointed me.
Okay. So thinking about that,
Oh,
are you okay?
there was punishment, but it was before. So if I take off my robe, I have lashings.
Okay. All right. So breathe. Breathing, you are safe. You are protected. And
The words
if you
arsehole come to mind.
about yourself or about who did that to you?
About he who did that.
Yeah.
Because I know who it is.
Okay. All right. Now, what I want you to do is what we want to do is we want to try and go back for the punishment and see what it was exactly that you did to receive this punishment. Are you able to see that?
No, but I'm being shown, and I know this is avoidance, but I'm being shown, you know, like the scene from the Da Vinci Code, where there's that awful evil monk who wears that stupid belt around his thigh where he gets it tighter and tighter so it bleeds, and then he self-flagellates. I'm being shown like I was expected to do that, and I didn't want to, so they did it for me.
Do you? Okay. All right. So, can you see at all, is this actually a punishment, or is self-punishment part of what you've been educated in this lifetime and expected to do as part of your religious beliefs of the lifetime?
I've been taught to do it.
And you're questioning its validity.
Yeah, they tell me that it casts out evil spirits. But I think that I am not evil, that I am pure, but they say that because I was abandoned at birth as an orphan, that I must be evil.
Okay.
Because nobody would abandon their child.
Yep. Okay. All right.
Nasty.
Okay. Do you feel very alone?
Yes. I feel alone even though I am in the house of God.
All right. I think that you need to tell yourself that you are not alone. You tell your past life self you are not alone. You are there with them always. The angels are there with them always. And relay that to them. That should bring them peace in that lifetime, knowing that their thoughts are correct, they are not evil, you are loved, they are not alone, despite what happens. They are truly loved. Now, is that easing? How are you feeling?
I always look to the light that comes in through the stained glass windows, and I know it anyway. But it's hard to be surrounded by people who are supposed to be
Absolutely.
pure, but acting in a way that is not congruent with my beliefs,
Yes.
not the same as I believe the teachings are meant to be.
Yeah. Spiritual wounds run deep. Very deep. So I want you to give as much comfort as you can to your past life self and spend a few minutes giving him comfort. And then I'm going to get you to say your goodbyes. Remembering that you are always safe, you are always protected, always loved, always.
Yeshua reminds me that he said, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do."
Perfect words.
He shows me his hands and holds them up to me. Transfer the healing so that I can heal my own wounds. By holding my hands to them. to activate the heat transfer for myself.
Beautiful.
And I heal immediately. And he's ready to walk out of the room,
Okay.
meaning Joshua.
Excellent. Okay. So now we're going to step back into your Akashic Records room. Let me know when you get back there. Back at the desk.
And you know I didn't bring a tissue. Yep. Okay.
So from there, what we're going to do is I'm going to get our spirit guides this record and us down to the cauldron of the violet flame. We are going to heal this record permanently for you. So, are you ready? Just get up and follow your spirit guide, and I'll lead you out of the room and down to the violet flame cauldron.
Yep, okay. See it now.
So you can see the beautiful big cauldron and a gorgeous violet flame. And we're going to wash over the record and ourselves with the beautiful healing energy of the violet flame. You can see it washing over you, gorgeous violet light, healing the deepest parts of your soul, easing your pain, taking away your need to punish yourself.
You've got very strong facial features. You know,
Yep.
like Kylo Ren in Star Wars.
Awesome.
Ugly but beautiful at the same time.
Fabulous. Feel that violet flame wash right over you. And you should start feeling peaceful and calm. You're just going to stay here and bathe in this healing light. How are you starting to feel now?
Much better.
Excellent. We'll stay here for a few more minutes. Let that violet light wash right over you. And when you're feeling completely relaxed again, we'll say our goodbyes to our spirit guides and make our way back down the corridors and out the front doors. Take your time
No more?
Let me know when you're out the front doors.
I feel great resistance.
Okay. Then what we're going to do instead is we are going to go back to your Akashic Records room and sit back down at the table. And let me know when you get back there. Do you feel any resistance to going back there?
No, I feel like it's ludicrous, but I feel like there's like, it's not possible, but I feel like there's an angel hovering above me with a cloud and a shower.
You're being cleansed. I'm still giving you healing. Just enjoy it. Take it all in.
And giving me a towel to dry down, like a fluffy, ridiculous white hotel towel.
I love it.
Told you it was going to be a little rough, didn't I? And I can tell you it took me several days to get through that. I was relieved that I could confirm the lifetime that was revealed with Sandra, and I was interested that this was a different proportion of the lifetime. And so what it has taught me is that we learn and have revealed elements from each lifetime as we are ready to have them revealed, and that we don't have it all revealed just at once, because we can only deal with so much at a time. So just because you've discovered a past lifetime doesn't mean that it's necessarily finished with the learnings. You can revisit it if it's necessarily needed for your soul. So one of the things that I wanted to point out with that past life reveal was I wanted to talk about a couple of things that you might have found disturbing in that episode. Monks and self-punishment. Now, I'm not making this up. I've done historical research about this, is that the Catholic Church did, I'm not sure if recommend is the right word, but it is well known in history that the Catholic Church did have punishment for monks that was widespread in the medieval times, and it was to do with self-punishment. Okay, so self-punishment is the act of inflicting physical or psychological harm on yourself for your perceived misdeeds. Now, the Catholic Church, basically, you can look at Opus Dei's websites, even today, the Opus Dei, which is not the lifetime that I was in, but the Opus Dei has a statement about self-punishment. But basically, the church saw that self-punishment was a way of joining oneself to Jesus. Self-punishment helps resist your natural drive to personal comfort because it prevents us from loving God and serving others for the love of God. So in the church's beliefs at that time, comfort was seen as evil, okay, because it took you away from God and from Jesus and from serving. So hence renunciation. A lot of people who have spiritual lifetimes, specific spiritual lifetimes, like as a nun or a monk, will have renunciation issues. One other thing that I wanted to let you know about was that, as you could hear, and if you're seeing this on YouTube, you'll have been able to see this whole session, is that Yeshua was there to guide me through this reveal. And the thing that I learned from the themes of abandonment in that past life is that I have never been alone. That I have always been surrounded by love because I am connected to Source. I am from Source just as you are. And I also learned, importantly, the thing that came to me when I left the session with Cindy. I actually know somebody called Sydney, was that in no way, shape, or form did Jesus ever want human beings to self-punish themselves, to whip themselves like he was whipped before he was put on the cross. That is not the point. That has been misconstrued historically. Okay? Self-punishment is not Jesus's lesson to you. It's not his legacy. His legacy is compassion and love. Enough said about that. The scene that I had at the time being at Westminster Abbey, at the time I thought maybe it was just an illustration of another abbey, because when I have done past life regressions where I actually could see things, I did a few of Dr. Brian Weiss's, or Weiss, however you want to say it, past life regressions, and I always saw the arches, the long pathways, the kind of the cobblestones, and then a green section in the middle. Between the archways. So they're called the cloisters. And originally I had discounted my own visions because I thought I was imagining something out of Harry Potter. You know, how they have the courtyard and they go through all those archways. So I learned that that's not true. I learned that Westminster Abbey is the right place. And if you watch the YouTube version of this podcast, I'm going to upload 2 photographs that I found, which actually provided me with an emotional reaction, a visceral emotional reaction today. So one was of the chapter house. The chapter house is in an octagonal room, which is where the monks and the head of the abbey met. And in this octagonal room, this is where the lessons of the week were delivered and where punishment was delivered. So you would meet there for a meeting and then you were punished. Okay. The interesting thing about that is when I saw the picture of the octagonal room, because I went and I had a look back at Westminster Abbey. I have been to Westminster Abbey and I have been down to the areas where I am talking about. I went in 1995, I think it was. And I kind of felt very spooked when I went to Westminster Abbey, even getting tongue-tied thinking about it. I really needed to know what was downstairs, and I did. I was very drawn down there. I also, when Kate and Wills were married 10 years ago, I watched the whole wedding and I was uncontrollably crying during that wedding. Now, I am a Royals fan, so part of that was being happy, joy. Part of it was the contrast. It was literally just as I was making a decision to leave my marriage. But I think there was also some other emotional side effects that came through. The second part to that was that when I then looked for what I had seen in my eyes as that room where I was told to go, son, to reflect on my sins and my misdeeds, I found the room which is called the PYX, the Pyx Chamber. And it's one of the only remaining rooms in Westminster Abbey, which is from the original 11th century Abbey. And when you look at the drawings match exactly. So if you find a black and white drawing, it matches exactly what I saw in my mind. And when I saw the photograph of it, I got a sharp pain in my heart and my heart started pounding and I got really nauseous. So when I saw the picture of the chapter house, the room where the punishment was delivered, I got dizzy. And I continued on to find the chamber, where I was then given time to reflect on my sins, and that's where I got the heart sensation. So I believe I found the right place. And if you go and then you are studious like me and you go and search up for the original Benedictine monk documentations and the research the scholars have, you'll see that monks were, it says on the Westminster Abbey website, monks were punished in the octagonal room. Now, the interesting part about that is that I can't be in octagonal rooms. And I'll put a picture for you here of, I used to be the marketing person. I'm not so obnoxious to have called myself the marketing manager, but I had a dual role once upon a time as the marketing person for Cassegrain Wines in Port Macquarie and Hungerford Hill Wines in the Hunter Valley. They were owned by the same person. And when we acquired One Broke Road, which is now the site of the Salador and Vineyards, originally it was a small church and it moved, I just got the significance of that too. It moved from this small church into the huge monstrosity of a Salador at One Broke Road. I went in there with James Kirby, who was then the owner of Hungerford Hill Wines. And I walked into the cellar door and I got nauseous immediately. I got dizzy immediately and I had to leave that room. I was like, I cannot be in this room. I got immediately sick. So think what you might, but I think there is also a correlation between octagonal rooms and a visceral emotional reaction in this lifetime. So what have I done for myself since this discovery? Well, I have this beautiful little book that my friend gave me, and I have been journaling for days about the insights from the Akashic Records sessions, and I have reframed the limiting beliefs. It's always important to do this with your hand. And so I've written things like, I am always in the company of God, Yeshua, and my archangels and love. I am never separated from God. I am of God. There is nothing that I need to do to join myself with Jesus. Jesus is of source, as am I. We are always connected. I love and serve God and others in every moment just by existing. Personal comfort allows me to take care of myself and gives others permission to do so as well. And there's some other ones there that I'm going to leave for the episode when we cover it with Sandra Biskind, which relate specifically to children, my role with children in lifetime, and then vows of poverty, renunciation, and money blocks. So thanks for joining me on this wild journey into my past. If there's any chance that any of this resonated with you and you think that you have been harming yourself through self-sabotage, then do let me know. Go to katish.com and book in for an introductory session and let's uncover your story, because you deserve to be free of vows and limiting beliefs from past lifetimes. It's time for your soul to move forward. Namaste.